from the sorry, from the oats in the morning, like the oats
So
Greek
oats is
yogurt.
your
Just
guess? So
uh,
oats, Lloyd, what would your one be? Would it be oats as well or something else?
No, first thing that came to mind was pasta.
Pasta, okay. Jeesh and Siobhan?
Just on the basis that you always like rice, I'm gonna go with rice.
Rice. Siobhan?
I was going to say rice as well. He stole my idea.
Did I?
So interestingly, even though they get a bad rap, the most satiating carb out there, white potatoes. White potatoes. Yeah.
All right.
Just think like boiled white potatoes, how it's cooked is important. But just think about it, like boiled potatoes, if someone had some boiled white potatoes on its own, it's very, very hard to eat more than a few of those. But what makes it easier is it's the butter, it's the oil, it's the cream, it's all of the additives that actually are added onto that. So Tierna made an important point there. The goal should always be when we're in a calorie deficit, eat as much food as possible while staying within our deficit. She had some good wins there at the weekend. What would you say was your biggest one the last week?
She just get to the gym at the weekend to get things going. And,
Good, yeah.
being back at home and being able to just clean up the food a bit. That was both of those were equally good.
And what about you, Siobhan?
I didn't have a great week again.
No, you did.
It was okay.
You had a
Well,
better week than you did last.
I did. The start of the week, I was,
This
back
day
on
week.
track.
Yeah.
And then we went away for a few days. I actually was sick over the period of time we were gone. I don't know, I had some kind of infection, and it was just kind of then just trying to get. I was going to go to the gym, and then I was like, okay, I
What was
don't.
your win?
Oh, sorry, my win. Is that what you asked? Yeah, sorry.
Do you want to come a bit closer, Siobhan? I can't hear you that well.
I was like, my win. I didn't realize. So my win was that I don't feel like I had a good week last week, but I suppose it was the fact that I got to the gym in the first place, and like I said, I was just sick for a few days.
You were
So
doing a workout yesterday as well.
yeah,
You got 2 workouts in the week despite being sick. 2 more than you did the previous week. That is your win. Don't be so hard on yourself.
yeah.
Don't be your own
And
worst
I
critic.
walked every day as well. I went for a walk every day. So
Great. There we go. Plenty
Yeah.
of wins to share. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What I want to do is I want to do a shared screen, and I want to do, so what we'll do is how today's called. So today is the 1st of May. I want to talk about 3 specific topics, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A at the end here. It's going to be about 10 minutes coaching, but I'll keep it interactive, keep it mindful there for us all. So we're going to talk about managing sugar cravings, optimizing your environment, and also mastering the fundamentals. I'm going to start out with the mindset of mastering the fundamentals. And so I used to do just solely in-person personal training. And I used to do this like 12-week challenge running up to Christmas with a gang of four, where I'd meet them in the gym 5 days a week. We do 5 one-hour workouts, and we had a lot of fun. We did some good workouts, strength work, condition work, cardio work, everything. And one guy, he kind of had this end game mentality. And that end game mentality was he wanted to look his absolute best for Christmas, for maybe just some of the nights out there and fit into some of his clothes and maybe impress some of the ladies, etc., etc., etc. And that all was good and well for him, because with that end game mentality of Christmas being the end line, I just want to get there and look as good as possible. He lost 11 kilos inside 12 weeks, which is a lot of weight, almost a kilo a week. But the problem with the end game mentality is you're seeing this as a finish line, that there's a finish line with this, that once I get there, that's me done. Life goes on, and behind mountains are more mountains. And a common mistake people make is with that end game mentality, they see losing fat or building muscle as just the end line, but they don't think about the aftermath. So just something I'll always suggest for us here is set goals, but after you set that initial goal, have a follow-on goal you have in mind. I spoke to you before about how when I ran the marathon a few years ago, that was my big, big goal and the only thing I was focusing on. But I felt really lost for a week or two after it because I never thought about the aftermath. You only think that there's only this event or there's only this thing, but you don't think about what's to follow. And in order for you to sustain this, it's mastering the fundamentals, which this particular individual had not mastered. Because 6 months later, unfortunately, we stopped working together and he regained the 12 kilos plus an additional kilo on top of that. Because of that mindset, it was that in-game mentality. Okay. And what are the fundamentals? What are the fundamentals? So moving our body, that's not something we should be hoping to stop do anytime soon. There's different levels to this. Walking is the most basic element of this, just moving more throughout the day. You can burn more calories by what you do outside the gym than what you do inside the gym. Okay, inside the gym, it's going to be great then for building the muscle and increasing our metabolism. Nutritional foods. If we feel the need or urge to cheat in our diet, we're not following a very good diet, because we should never feel the need or urge to cheat. Now, it's reframing foods as away from a cheat meal. I don't like that term, but you understand what I mean there. You should never feel that you need to cheat or need to break from it, because if you do, it's not sustainable in the long run. So how do we implement good nutritional habits? This is where 80-20 approach comes in. Having a small bit of chocolate every single day rather than one big blowout at the weekend. Okay? Finally, mastering the fundamentals, the most underrated element of it. It's living by your principles and values and having the good mindset as well. It's very, very easy that if you're surrounded by people who don't have the same or similar goals as you, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You'll become the 6th. And if you hang around with people who are maybe, you know, constantly asking if you want to go for drinks, you want to go for alcohol, people in the office there, you'll have a slice of cake. Go on, go on, go on. You were never like this. You always took the treat. What's happening to you? Over time, you will just adapt, and whatever their habits are, they're going to fall and implement onto you. So you have to live by values, and you have to hold yourself accountable to a high standard. Because if you let your standards drop, that's going to result in a drop in your physique, in your performance, in your aesthetics, and in your look there. Okay? So moving the body is fundamental. Eating the right amount of food, 80-20 approach, and setting standards for yourself. Because what I will say is we're in motion now. When you have built momentum, it's so easy just to keep it going. But if you break that motion, if you break the chain, it's okay to let it happen once. But I'm a big believer in breaking the chain more than 2 days in a row. There's danger with that, because that then can compound. So if you are in a good routine and you're in the good swing of things and you've maybe one off day, just don't let that one off day compound to 2 off days. And that will come back to moving the body, eating the right foods, and just taking one single action to get back in track. All right, just have a think about last week before we move on. Did we master the fundamentals? Did we get some form of movement activity in? Did we live by our values with our food, with our training, with our nutrition? Did we do some element of movement to bring us forward? If we broke the chain, did the chain break for 2 days in a row, or are we back at it again after 1 day? Because these are the things that are really going to help make it stick. All right. So that breaking the chain one, it's really important. Any questions, comments on that? Any takeaways from it? All right. Okay. We'll move on to the second one, and 5 ways to reduce sugar cravings. So first of all, before I actually talk about the ways to reduce sugar cravings, a great question to ask yourself is this out of hunger or is this out of habit? And for example, you might find yourself just having a certain food after dinner every single day. And it could just be kind of ingrained in you that this is just something that you always do. But are you eating out of hunger or are you eating out of habit? Just something to be mindful of. And that's probably the most important element of this. It probably is the most important element of this. So number 1, when reducing sugar cravings, don't get bored. There's a reason why we find it harder to stay on track sometimes the weekend, because our minds aren't as active. They're not as busy because we're not working for 8 hours of the day. We don't have that same routine with us. How come during ad breaks for a match or for a game or at halftime, people always go rushing to the shop? Because they're bored. There's nothing to watch for those 15 minutes. I'll grab a quick cup of tea. I'll grab a quick chocolate biscuit. If the game was on, we keep watching because we're not bored. So the first thing with identifying sugar cravings is do not get bored. Now, with that being said, there are some ways that we can reduce or limit our sugar cravings. And one of them is cinnamon. Interestingly, cinnamon has been shown that it can actually reduce the sugar spike you get from carbohydrate foods by up to 30%. So it can reduce the glycemic index, which is basically the speed at which your sugar gets converted to energy, by up to 30% after a single meal. So cinnamon will be a good one now if we have porridge in the morning, if we like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, any of those snacks. Does anyone take a bit of cinnamon there? I have it every morning in the porridge. Tiernan, you do?
Yeah, well, it was my first time ever having it the other day, just based off the recipe. I didn't even know what it looked like. Then I realized it came in like powder, so I threw that in, and it was sweet. Like I noticed it straight away that it was sweet, like obviously, but it's something I never would have had before, like so. And I've been better I have a sweet tooth in general, like so.
Sweet
it
teeth,
kind of
we
kept
all
it.
do. We all
Yeah,
do.
so it's good.
Okay, so adding some cinnamon is one thing. Now, it's not written down here, but supplementing with magnesium. Oftentimes, sugar cravings, if you get really, really bad cravings sometimes in the evening, it could be an indication you're deficient in magnesium. Lloyd, I would actually potentially suggest you, because you're so active there in the bike as well, and that you'd lose a lot of water just through sweat there. I'd recommend you, if you're not doing so already, to potentially supplement with magnesium.
Okay.
And I'd recommend getting it in the powder form.
Okay.
Now, foods that are high and rich in magnesium, dark chocolate, a high percent of dark chocolate would actually be one, ironically. So the higher the percent, the better. Ideally, if you can get 80, 85% or above, that would be a good one there also. Some nuts potentially as well. Brazil nuts can be good. But another way to reduce sugar cravings, it's not on the list now, so add cinnamon or supplement with magnesium. And then just some other things. It's after dinner. I'm having a hot drink purposefully because when you eat your food, your food doesn't automatically digest. If you watch any YouTube video, this is what I sometimes do in my spare time. You see these 10,000 calorie challenges. There's a reason they try to eat as much food inside the first 20 minutes as possible. Because the fullness signals do not kick into your brain for about 20 minutes that you're full. So they're going to try eat as much before they actually start feeling full 20 minutes later. Knowing that to be true, if we want to limit your caloric intake, easiest thing you can do is eat your dinner slowly. Use a smaller plate. Put the knife and fork down after every single bite. Chew your food. Why are we doing this? Giving yourself time to digest the food. We're not horsing it into us. After that, though, if you have a hot drink after dinner and you might be tempted to grab the biscuit, well, you have the hot drink instead. What's that doing again? It's giving your body more of a chance to digest your food, to let the food process, which in turn is going to help you limit your likelihood of actually wanting the snack. And again, it will come out of you're probably just bored and you're not really hungry. Okay, now if you do have a sugar craving, then eat a small piece of fruit. That can be helpful. You know, berries, watermelon, whatever it might be. Or the best time to have something sweet, as I mentioned before, is post-workout. Your body, now, if we did a real intensive workout where we're sweating and it was hard and, you know, it was a hard workout, that's the best time to have something sweet if you really do have a sweet tooth. Your body is almost like a sponge if you really use all your energy stores. And it'll do everything in its power to recover, which is why sometimes you might see athletes having like Cocoa Pops after a workout, because it's just a faster digesting sugar that will help them recover that bit faster before they can do it again. Now, for most of us, just lifestyle lifters, we probably don't need to worry about having Cocoa Pops. But with that being said, if we do have a bit of a sweet tooth, having a post-workout in that window would probably be an optimal time as well, provided it doesn't trigger cravings later on in the day for you. All right, any questions, comments, takeaways on that?
I just have one question there. That's all right.
Yeah,
Just
of course, yeah.
just about in understanding a bit about like when you said you put in cinnamon that it would like slow down the sugar spike you get from carbohydrate foods. How do you mean by that?
Yeah, so let's just say, for example, with carbohydrate foods, Tiernan, they're all rated on like a glycemic index. Basically, think of it as a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being like the fastest absorbing carbohydrate or sugar spike you can get. So something that'll be that you get a really fast spike from, think of something like Jelly Babies. They're like on the highest in the list there. They might be up at like 85 or 90. And then something a bit lower, that could be something like sweet potato or like brown rice. They'd be a bit lower. In other words, you don't get that that initial spike and then the drop. It's more of a gradual rate of increase in energy. But with adding cinnamon can just even slow that rate down that bit more. That maybe normally when you have this carbohydrate, your energy levels, they spike up and then they dramatically decrease. But with cinnamon, they mightn't spike as quickly. So you're not getting that sugar rush as quickly as a result, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, thanks very much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the rate at which your body will absorb the carbohydrates. Brilliant question. Last thing I want to do a bit of coaching on, and this is probably the secret and the silent killer and the silent secret of fat loss, and that is your environment. And environment is everything from your kitchen layout. If your kitchen is dirty and all the pots and pans are filthy, you're not going to want to cook. If your food is all over the place and there's crumbs everywhere and it's not stored properly, it doesn't really promote a good cooking environment. It's going to be easier to ring the takeaway. But just as well, I know my limits here. And for me, for example, I just don't buy cereal. I'm not saying cereal, I don't buy granola, chocolate granola, because I know that I find it very hard to have a bowl of that without coming back for seconds and thirds. And I have the weakest amount of willpower as much as anyone else, so I don't put it to the test purposefully. And how I do that is I optimize my environment by not buying it in the first place. If I have granola in that press, it's going to be finished. There's no just one. It's 2 servings, it's 3. So you have to know your limitations. And the analogy I'll use is sometimes you just have to go cold turkey. Like with Alcoholics Anonymous, for instance, they don't just tell them, you know, you might have a bit of alcohol there on a Saturday and then you don't have anything for the rest of the week and you have it just 1 day a week. They just say straight off, we're going off it. And if there's a food that just triggers that response for you, that you find it hard to control your portions and it just triggers you to want more and more and more, the simplest thing you can do is just not bring it into the house. Because rule number 1 in nutrition, if a food is in your house, sooner or later it's going to be eaten by you or by somebody else. So don't put yourself to the test. If you know that chocolate peanuts, you'll finish the full package. Don't buy the chocolate peanuts. At least make yourself drive to the shop to get them. Okay, so how can we optimize this? Make it as easy as possible to be lazy. This works both ways now. If we want to eat more vegetables, put more vegetables in the, put the veggies in the fridge, put them on the table where you're going to see them. You want to have a bit more fruit, have a fruit bowl on the table there. You want to reduce your biscuit intake, don't have them lying on the table. At least put them in the back of the press, or better, don't buy them at all. It's the secret and the silent killer or silent success of fat loss. It's your kitchen environment and the food you bring in. Okay, going off this, building a team. Yes, Siobhan, sorry.
Okay. Can I just ask you about bread? I've cut out bread a lot more since starting the program because like I used to get very bloated and stuff, but I'm not sure, but it would be my go-to for my lunch and stuff, and a lot of my meals would have had bread, my breakfast, my lunch, and then I wouldn't obviously have in my dinner as much. But I'm trying to cut out that and follow the recipes you have, and there isn't a lot of bread. I'm just wondering, should I be avoiding bread completely, or is bread okay at times, or is it just not a good thing to be eaten?
Oh, like not good compared to what? It's like compared to
Well,
maybe having sweet potato or oats, they might be better, but compared to having something like a donut, sourdough
yeah,
bread there will be much, much better. I'd be saying do not cut it out at all. It's just
okay,
the intake. It's like it's very easy to eat 4 slices of bread in a row. It's
yeah,
very hard to eat 4 apples in a row. And there's a
yeah.
reason for that.
Yeah, I would fill up on bread, I would say, and like milk as well. I'd be a big milk drinker, like, and cereal, milk and bread would be. So I've kind of cut them out, and I don't think I'm replacing them properly yet,
I
but
think you cut them out.
yeah, more or less the bread.
What
Right.
I'd be
Or
saying there with the bread is include it in your calories. You know, you can get slimline breads there, which are great as well at Siobhan. 60 calories
okay,
per slice. You could get 2 of those, 120 calories. It's just again, like Anthony, it's just mindful of the portion sizes, that's all.
okay,
I'm mindful of the portion sizes, that's all. And it's not saying it's good or bad. We're not categorizing food into that. It's just higher calorie, lower calorie, higher nutrient, lower nutrient.
I
And some
think tying
foods
into
are
what you're talking about there, I think it's one of the things that Siobhan maybe needs to not keep in the house.
well,
so
even like look, the half pan, the half pan instead of the full pan, saying that you're only going to have one or two, like 2 slices a day, maybe two
right,
slimline slices a day.
okay,
Just things like that. But again, I suppose going back to optimizing the environment, knowing your triggers there as well is important. But this is environment too, is the people you surround yourself with. So, for example, Jeet and Siobhan, you're doing the program together and you're helping hold yourself accountable. We've other couples doing it as well, and they just find that works well. They're cooking their meals together, their food together. And just having supportive people who understand you, who aren't commenting or questioning or urging you, because some people will try to bring you down. They don't like seeing you do better than them, and they'll almost try to bring you back down to their level. Okay.
yeah,
And just other things as well. So regulate your eating behaviors. This is a big one. We all at times might turn to food if you get emotional. You had a hard day at work, maybe you got dealt bad news, and your gut or your instinct is, I'm just gonna eat. I'm gonna grab some chocolate, grab some sweets, grab something to curb or tie me over. But it's just regulating your emotions there. And often binge eating occurs because of one of 4 things: hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Am I hungry? Am I angry? Am I feeling lonely? Am I on my own? Or am I just a bit tired after work? And if you ever have the need or urge to binge, it's all about delaying that gratification. So that might be just taking 10 deep breaths. That could be brushing your teeth. That could be going for a walk. Any of those things, but just regulating your emotions and try not to emotionally eat. I always try to think, how will this food make me feel? How will this food make me feel? And just try connect to your future self and make a decision your future self be proud of. Okay. But environment is huge now. It really is. It's the key, honestly. Just the site. Not a lot of people talk about it, but your kitchen environment, your people you spend your time with, doing the check-ins with those, like all of these things are going to help get and generate buy-in that we're just getting the best results possible. And that is it for this week's training. What questions, takeaways, comments does anyone have on that, or any follow-ups on anything we spoke about? G or Lloyd?
No, I'm happy. I'm happy enough with that. Interesting fact about the cinnamon. I used to take cinnamon at all, but I do. I started taking overnight oats now, so I do put in a good sprinkle or two of the cinnamon. So that's an interesting fact. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What was your takeaway, Tiernan?
I suppose just the cinnamon thing as well, kind of like that. The hot drink. I think I do tend to horse down my food. Like I always have. My mind slow down, so I always be just shoveling it in. Like, and I know, like, geez, there are times I have I could have a mammoth portion, I'd still be thinking I'm still kind of hungry, so I might have more. That tomorrow's lunch might be a bit taken off that or whatever, you know. So I think like the hot drink thing was a good one, and I suppose like the thing you're saying about sport and environment, I could definitely show even visualize kind of people I'm friends with or whatever, like people who are sport people might be like just in terms of you really see that a lot of people are
Hanging around
into
with.
fitness. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, like,
Yeah.
as in, there's some certain people you hang around with are great for certain things going out the weekend, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
some
absolutely.
people are great for supporting. Like, I was just only saying to the lads in the car on the way back from school there about like one of them I hadn't said anything to about doing the program, and he was all saying, "Oh, fair play to you, like, you had never done it before or anything." So, it was good to, it was kind of a bit of a boost as well, and it was good to come on the call as well. Then as well after that, and sure meeting you or whatever.
Yeah,
Kind of,
a big take. And Tiernan, that's such an important point though, about not horsing the food down.
yeah.
My calories were extremely low for the last 3 weeks. And just one little hack that I implemented was using smaller plates. So it looks like you're eating more food and just putting the fork down after every bite. Like just trying to be really present when you're eating.
Yeah.
Taking 15, 20 minutes, 15 minutes at least at a meal there now.
So
Giving yourself at least 15.
you probably spend enough time cooking it anyway, so you might as well.
Yeah, exactly. You spend enough time cooking it that give yourself the chance to opportunity to enjoy it. Great takeaway there, Tiernan.
Yeah.
Siobhan, what were your takeaways?
Cinnamon is an interesting one, definitely. I'm using a continuous blood sugar monitor right now, so I'm gonna test that to see whether
Yeah,
with the foods that I'm eating, whether it makes any difference to it.
brilliant,
Because
brilliant.
one thing I
Yeah,
have noticed is that the oats and milk and yogurt combination in the morning is definitely causing a sugar spike. So it'd be
sure.
interesting to see whether we can attenuate that.
Brilliant, brilliant. Let me know where that goes. Great stuff, G.
Will
Siobhan?
do.
I suppose yeah, the takeaway for me today now is the environment thing because I feel like when I go down, I have to go down to my parents some weeks and stay down for a few days or that, and I find it just because of what they're eating and stuff, I do try, but it's just
Very
Mhm.
just
hard.
when it's just like you said, it's just the kind of it's very easy to be kind of persuaded, oh, sure, that's grand, I'll just have that, or just not think about it. So, like,
Uh,
and then I find when I'm with Jeet and we're doing the plan and everything, it's just great. I'm
See,
kind of
yeah,
better. So it's like
yeah.
definitely rings through with the environment thing.
Yep.
Okay.
But
People
just
you
think
hang out
of
with.
think of environment at Christmas time as well. Like that's why
Mm.
Christmas time is so hard. It's because everything in sight, out of sight, out of mind, it goes out the window. There's just heroes, there's celebrations, they're all the goodies are on the table, the selection boxes. It's probably the hardest time of year to optimize your environment. So that's why a lot of people, myself included, Christmas is the one time of year that I do find challenging there between like the 25th and the 31st. So it's going back to environment, that's all. Um, yeah, brilliant stuff. We have about just over 5 minutes left here before we wrap up this call. But does anyone have any questions or anything just in general that you'd like me to touch on or go over in more detail? Tiernan, you won there?
I just have, well, it's a slightly more personal one as in relation to my goals, or whatever. But I suppose just getting into the eating this week, like I just thought, like I don't know to see it yet, but I kind of find it hard to get in the amount just because the food was filling me compared to maybe what I previously been eating, and I think I kind of mismeasured like how much that I actually would need to have eaten, like let's say something in the morning, then kind of two dinners nearly, like lunch and dinner, um. So I was just wondering, like in terms of like uh in between meals or like slightly small meals. So would it be things like to get the protein in or something would be like eggs and things like that? Or like
So,
what kind of smaller meals could
so
you have?
is your question that you're finding it hard to hit your calories or stay within your calories?
Well, no, that like I think it was just the protein and some of them were down, like and like even
Sure. Okay. Hit the macros there. Okay.
yeah, the
Okay.
macros, sorry.
So the protein at every meal is going to be a big one there, Tiernan. And there's foods with protein and there's protein foods. So protein foods will be where the majority of the calories come from protein. So that'll be things like, look, white meat, you can't go wrong with chicken, you can't go wrong with turkey. Very lean source of protein there. So in your meals there, I'd be making sure you're having at least 200 grams of like chicken or 200 grams of lean steak there. It's the easiest way to bump up protein. Just eat more of your existing ones.
Yeah.
For the likes of breakfast, eggs and egg whites, an egg only has 6 grams of protein, and all of that protein is in the white. So sometimes what I recommend when the calories are a bit lower, Tiernan, is having like 2 eggs and 3 egg whites. So you're getting 30 grams of protein there.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So just like
And
things to fill to get like I think at the end of the day, like okay, I'm a bit off like
Greek
with the
yogurt,
protein, but I'd love
Greek
Greek
yogurt,
yogurt.
protein powder, they're all very good ones. Like for you,
Okay.
just Tiernan, break it down. You probably want to be getting 40 grams of protein across around 3 meals and 1 snack. So
Yeah,
if you have 150 grams of chicken in 2 of those meals, if you have maybe some protein powder in the porridge there in the morning, that's
yeah.
another 40 grams. And then a snack of something like Greek yogurt or boiled eggs there, that would tie you over.
And just one more thing now, I don't want to be taking up all the
Not
questions
at
I'm
all,
around.
not at all.
Just for the let's say the overnight oats now. Like I've been throwing in Greek yogurt, whatever, and what following the recipe. So like for this week now, I know last week you were saying I was trying to like focus on real foods because it was week 0 and getting in the protein through actual sources of food. So like from this week now, can I start throwing in, let's say, the scoop of protein there?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
That was just for week 0 and just trying to apply the 80-20 now going forward. So and
yeah,
look, to be honest, protein powder, it's absolutely fine anyway. It's a very lean source there. But just good snacks. So protein powder, I'll give you 3 protein powder, Greek yogurt, and just cook
yeah.
up a batch. I cook up 15 boiled eggs, Tiernan. Store them
Okay,
in the fridge, and I might have 2 or 3 every day.
okay,
The egg whites will be the protein part there if you want to toss the yolk for 1 or 2 of them even.
okay, perfect. Thanks for
Brilliant, brilliant question. Lloyd, you have a question as well.
Yeah, just what's your take on creatine? And like if you're taking creatine, do you mix it in with your protein maybe at the gym, or would you recommend that supplement, or what's your thoughts on it?
It's the most research and scientifically backed supplement out there. So creatine for fat loss, for muscle gain, performance, absolutely go for it. In terms of when to take it, Tiernan actually asked me this as well. You can take it any time of the day, really. Like take it at a time you can just you'll remember to take it. That's the most important thing. I would generally recommend try have it around your workout window. Some people have it during it, some people have it before, some people have it after. Once it's in your system, though, it's not really important when you take it. How you take it, you get a bit of water, you toss it in the mouth, you get a scoop, you knock it back, and you swallow it. I'd always recommend getting it unflavored and just taking it like that.
And just one other thing as well is, would you go on it in stages, like go on it for a month, off it for a month, on
You
it for a
don't need
month,
to
off?
cycle. No, you don't need to cycle it. You can take it year round.
Okay.
You can take it year round. And once you have roughly, so for you, about 3 to 5 grams a day, Lloyd, for your body weight, that'll be fine. There's studies that people load it where they take 20 grams a day for the first week, and then they just taper down to 5 grams a day. But there's no difference between taking 5 grams a day for a full month or 20 grams for the week 1, and then 5 grams for the week 2, 3, and 4. The same amount, same results come the end of the month. So just 5 grams a day there would be enough.
Okay. Do you find it works?
I mean, 30% of people are non-responders. I feel I might fall into that bracket, but at the same time, you're like, it's relatively cheap and it's hard to supplement from food. So I don't know 100% if it works for me, but I do know that a lot of people, it is recommended.
Okay.
So it's definitely no harm not taking it. Let's just
Okay.
put it like that. Brilliant question. Does anyone have any other questions before we wrap things up? We're all good. Okay. What needs to happen? Siobhan and Jeet, actually, thank you for commenting on the goals already. Do you know what I'll get us to do now? Lloyd and Tiernan, and if anyone else watching the replay there as well, I just posted the Monday motivation thread there in the group. Post your top 1 to 3 goals for the week. It could be something like X number of workouts, hit this number on a lift, hit 150 grams of protein every day, you know, complete all the workouts by end of week. Nothing too big or too small, but there's a lot of power in not only writing down your goals, but sharing them with others. A lot of science behind the benefits of that. So that's it's personal and public accountability there from us all. All right. Jeet, Siobhan, Lloyd, Tiernan, I appreciate you. Great call here. Really enjoy this. Next call is on Monday at 1 p.m. Irish time. But again, if we ever have any questions, comments, concerns, that is what we're here for. Do not run away from us, run towards us. Ask questions on the app. Let us know if you have any kind of comments or questions. And make sure we fill out the accountability form as well going forward, just so we can keep that steady and consistent. All
Thank you very
righty.
much.
Lloyd, Tiernan, Jeet, Siobhan, here's to a good week.
Thank you.
Chat to you guys soon. Take care.